without a shadow of a doubt that you're created on purpose for a purpose. Mindset and money revolution. You have to have a mindset revolution to experience a money revolution. That's when you experience a true wealth revolution.
My name is Chad Free. Welcome to the Wealth Revolution Podcast.
Welcome back to the Wealth Revolution Podcast. My name's Chad Free, and I hope you are doing well today. I've got a good one for you today. Hopefully every one of them is a good one. Hopefully you're finding some kind of value that you're able to pull from some of the things we talk about. And occasionally we have guests on, and we've had a lot of compliments from that. But we're doing a little something different here lately. I'm talking about 4 steps that you need to be mindful of and be considerate of when you're building wealth and when you're thinking about building wealth. You know, we may be thinking we're building wealth, but maybe sometimes we need to make sure that we're taking advantage of everything that's available to us. Maybe we can amplify that. In our planning, I always take an inventory on what you're doing right now. And that's kind of our A, like what is it that you're doing right now? And then where are you trying to get to? And I show a difference or a comparison, because I believe values in the comparison on if you continue doing what you're doing right now, this is what that future or what the projections are going to look like, versus if you implement some other types of strategies. Can it get you to your destination quicker? Could your destination be bigger than you thought? So that's what this series is about. And it's like how to build wealth, how to amplify your wealth. And we're doing a 4-part series. And that's what I'm excited about today. So first of all, the Wealth Revolution is a movement of really bring awareness to what true wealth is. And I believe true wealth is an abundance of everything that you value. And really, if you're not fulfilled on the inside and have that abundant mindset, then you can have all the money in the world. Your bank account can be completely filled up, but you can still be miserable. And I know this because a lot of that is my story, and a lot of that is from people that I've worked with in the past. And so I'm trying to help people with their mindset, help people with their money. And once you do those 2 things, then I think that you can truly experience a wealth revolution. So let's get into it. Last week, we talked about contributions. Where are we contributing our money? And if we can just kind of do a summary, we talked about my ECAD system. And let me break this down, because I don't know if I did this or not. But where I got this from is I saw somebody say, look, there's 3 steps to building wealth. You got your contributions, all right? Then you hopefully that money that you've been contributing is going to accumulate, and then one day you're going to distribute that money, whether it's an income to yourself or it's to your heirs, all right? The E on that is earnings. You got to earn enough to contribute, right? So I want to start out with just a simple thing that really caught my attention to make me feel like I should use this. And this is kind of how I've, framed the ECAD system. Let's talk about taxes just really, really quick, and very simple way to look at it. Let's say that you had $5 and you put $5, that was your contribution. All right. And then one day you hope that $5 would turn into $10. That's growing. That's your accumulation. Then one day when you get ready to distribute it, maybe that $5 could be $20. Right? So hopefully you're following me, making it real simple today. Let's say that you are in a 20% tax bracket. Okay. And let's say that the tax on the $5 that you put in, if it's 20%, that means $1. All right. So you pay taxes at a tax rate that you know what it is, and you're doing, consider it the seed, right? That $5 is a seed that you're planting. Well, if it accumulates to $10 and then when we get ready to distribute it and harvest it, if you will, it's $20. If you have the same tax bracket when you retire of 20%, then you're going to pay $4 in taxes on that money. So the question's real simple. Would you rather pay $1 on the seed or $4 on the distribution, on the harvest? Another question to ask is, do you think taxes are going up or down in the future? Now, you may say, and believe it or not, I get this every once in a while, no, taxes is not going to go up. I'm going to be in a lower tax bracket when I retire. And that might be true. So just for you, let's say that your tax bracket is 10%. So you put $5 in, and when you take the $20 out, you can pay $1 on the contribution of $5, or if it's 10%, you can pay $2 when you take it out on the $20. 10%, $20 equals $2. So you can pay $1 or $2. Sometimes you just have to open your mind, right? You have to open your mind and look at things differently and understand that you may or may not have been being fed things that sort of favor the government and financial institutions. We also talked about movement. Money is currency. Money is always moving. So when you are not moving your money and you're just sitting there watching it grow and holding on to it and all that good stuff, I promise you, the financial industry and the government, the money's moving. It's moving towards their way. And if you're not proactive in setting up models and financial structures, then that money's just going to continue to move in their favor and not in yours. So in contributions, we talked about, and you can write this down if you're a note taker or take a mental note of it. What do I consider as contributions? Contributions is anything you're putting away towards savings, anything that you're putting away in your 401k, IRA. I even consider contributions extra money that you're putting towards debt. So if you're paying extra $200 on your mortgage, write that down. If you're paying an extra $100 towards your car, write that down. But to make this simple like it was intended to be, you want to do this, you want to write down the contributions that you're already doing and you're used to doing on a monthly basis. So if you did $200 twice a year, then I wouldn't consider that, because the goal here is to amplify your wealth without interrupting your lifestyle. See, budgeting's good, but I don't like to encourage people to. I mean, you got to do what you got to do. Okay, I'm gonna have some haters on this. You got to do what you got to do, but I don't want you to sell your car and ride a bicycle to work. I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to not take your wife out on a date, or your significant other, your wife. Maybe your wife takes you out, husband, or boyfriend or girlfriend, who knows? But I don't want you to stop eating filet mignons. That's what we say here in outside of Greenville. Filet mignons, and start eating beef jerky. Right? I'm not asking you to do that. We want to see what you're doing right now and see if we can redirect those dollars to help them work for you better. Now, we talked about that last week. This week, we're going to talk about the accumulation phase. It's going to be short and sweet. All right. I'm just giving you something to think about. So the accumulation phase, if you remember, we talked about people focus on growing net worth by chasing rates of returns and increasing the value of assets. That's what you've been taught. That's what everybody kind of pushes. We take a proactive approach to look at debt and taxes, because those are liabilities both now and in the future. So if we break down what a net worth is your assets minus your liabilities. And debt and taxes are two things that are certainly crippling the way Americans are building their wealth. And so we want to take a look at that. So not only should you have your wealth protected in a market standpoint, but you should also take a look at, are you earning interest or are you paying interest? And are you taking advantage of all the tax strategies that are available to you that you probably may not know about? All right. So if we look at that, debt and taxes in the accumulation phase, you've heard me say this before, but Warren Buffett has 2 rules to investing. Number 1 rule is to not lose money. The number 2 rule is to not forget the number 1 rule. So ask yourself that question. Have you ever lost money in your savings, in your retirement account, anything that your contributions are in, the accumulation, right? If you've got money somewhere that's growing, have you ever experienced a loss? Is that something that maybe you should consider? Taking it off the roller coaster and putting it on the escalator. Because there are ways that you can grow your money without experiencing any losses. So just as an example, distribution is the end game. So what if you are in the accumulation phase and you're approaching distribution? In 2007, the S&P went down. All right. Let's just say, and I know you say, Chad, well, you're using the worst, time in the market. Well, we got to be prepared, right? I mean, right now, as we speak, we're, April, Caden? It's April, and the market's going down a bit. So the point is, in 2007, the market went down, and it didn't come back to where it was in 2007 until 2012, the S&P 500. So what if 2008 was the year that you was going to say, deuces, I'm going, see ya, I have worked long enough, and you had to have that certain amount of money? Well, now you're forced to make a decision. Either you're going to take a big pay cut for the rest of your life into retirement, or you're going to have to work 5 more years in retirement. So that's the first question I'm asking you. Is your money protected? Are you taking advantage of all the strategies where you can grow your money with no losses or minimum losses? That's the number 1 question. The number 2 question is, are you earning or are you paying interest? Have you addressed the money that you're paying out in debt? Have you ever looked at that? And we talked about that before. Just because you have a low APR does not mean that you're not paying that much in interest. I've given examples before where I think the payment was like $2,300 on a mortgage, and that was a 4% APR, but $1,600 of that was going toward interest. That's 70% that you're losing the ability to compound in your favor. And I know what you're wondering. Well, how do you do this? How do you do this? Well, I know a guy. I know a team. Right, Caden? That's what we're here to do. We're here to help people. But we want to do what's best for you. So you've got to see that it's a problem in order to raise your hand and say, hey, I want to fix the problem. All right. And then the last thing that I would consider, are you taking advantage of all the opportunities as far as taxes is concerned? There are so many different strategies out there that are black letter law. So you don't have to worry about being in the gray area or pushing the line or getting aggressive or what. No, the tax code is written for you to take advantage of it. So when's the last time that you paid Uncle Sam just a little bit too much for your liking? Well, there could be opportunities for you to reduce those taxes, both now and in the future. That is a liability. That is a debt that will come due when the government and the IRS ask for it. So taxes is super important to consider. And don't just count yourself out that, well, I don't know that I can take advantage of all these tax efficient things because maybe I'm not, worth as much as this person or that person. Comparison is a thief of joy. And if you don't ask, you'll never know. So you got to raise your hand and say, hey, am I taking advantage of everything? I'll give you one example. There's a program right now. I mean, it's equipment leasing. And literally, you can put 10% down on some equipment and write off the entire amount. And we have a program that can help you do that. Now, if that means if you had a large tax liability, you could put $100,000 down. And if the equipment was $1 million, you got $1 million tax write-off. Now, how about that? Now, it's not just cut and dry like that, but that kind of tax strategy is available. And so many people are taking advantage of that. And it's best to, it's almost like taking your money out of your left pocket and putting it in your right pocket. Because if you leave it in the left pocket, the government's going to get as much as it can. But if you know these tax strategies, you can put it in the right pocket and you can keep more of it. Judge Learned Hand, I know that's a crazy name, but I use this quote often. He actually said there's two taxation systems in America, one for the informed and one for the uninformed. And the deal is both of them are legal. So those are three things that I would like for you to consider when looking at your situation. Is your money protected? How much money are you earning in interest and how much are you paying in interest? And lastly, are you taking advantage of all the tax strategies that are available to you? All right. So I'm trying to make this extremely simple because, again, people make it so intimidating and complex. And I believe that it's because they look at the entire staircase, and I'm all about taking one step at a time. Let's look at this step that we're in right now, and what's the next step that I'm taking. So that's what the ECAD is meant for, is to get you extremely hyper focused on where you are in your wealth building journey and how we can come alongside of you and help you. It's not all about how. Sometimes it's who can help me with this. So to recap last week, contributions. How much are you putting away for savings? How much are you putting away in retirement? What does that look like on a monthly basis? If you're putting any extra towards your debt, write that down. All right. Write it down. Now you've got your contribution amount. Now, where's your money going? And is it on a roller coaster or is it on the escalator? Is it protected? Is it following Warren Buffett's rules? Number one, don't lose money. Number two rules, don't forget the number one rule. Look that up. You can Google it. I promise you it's there. All right. Are you earning interest or are you paying interest? And are you taking advantage of all tax strategies that's available to you? Now, if you've kicked the can all the way down the road and it's pre-tax, we have ways and strategies that we can get you out of that and turn that money into tax-free money. All right. We have certain strategies that can help you do that. But again, you got to raise your hand. All right. We want to help anybody, but we're not for everybody, just like my buddy Derek Green says. And I think that's huge. We're not here to push anything on you. We want to meet you right where you are and see if we can get you closer to where you're trying to go sooner than later. That's the accumulation phase. That's part 2 in this series. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll talk soon. God bless you.